Welcome back to another Inside Lansing. Today, we bring Ken Reynolds back to the show, venue operations. Ken, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for the invite.
So, venue operations, I think we've already talked a bit about venue operations. We don't need to go over everything. You're in charge of Fox Point, you're in charge of
Ford Hangar and then the Lansing Sports Complex. Those are the three primary ones.
Those three primary ones. Could you talk a little bit, though, how it's unique, considering like other villages around the area don't actually have access to very different venues?
Yeah, I think the one thing about the three you mentioned in particular is that where they're located in our community, one is on the north end of town, one is really in the center, and one is on the south end. So we talk internally about what destination drivers are and getting people to be able to obviously drive people to the Village of Lansing for these three venues, and then to stay in Lansing afterwards for, it could be dinner, it could be lunch, depending on the time of day, shopping, even staying overnight. Yeah. All of those things, if we're driving people to the Village of Lansing economically, that's helping us and it's helping other businesses. So the geographic layout of the three is one thing that makes it unique. The other is that all of them are in differing stages of their development, and by that I mean the Ford Hangar is obviously celebrating its 100th year, and we'll probably talk about that a little later. Fox Point is entering only its 8th season and is the newest venue. And then you have the Lansing Sports Complex that's been around for 50 plus years. Mm-hmm. And so each of them is in kind of a different, from a maintaining them and what they can offer. And so that is one of the challenges that comes up, is something that's brand new. You know, how do you get it out there and make it aware, like Fox Point? And then when it comes to the sports complex or the hangar, these buildings and these properties that have been around for a long time, how do we enhance them? How do we get them modernized? And then how do we drive people to them? So I think that's the thing that's really unique about Lansing, is all three of them, the goal is the same: get people here, staying here for as long as possible. Yeah. And then what do we have to do financially and even administratively to get them to run to their peak efficiency?
You had mentioned maintenance, mm-hmm. and I know there's been a lot of work probably being done on the sports complex right now to kind of get ready for the season or whatever. Could you go through a few of the updates we're looking at?
Absolutely. I think those that follow youth sports know that there's been a shift in the paradigm of what that is. Community sports in general, especially in the summer, have been in some ways taken over by travel sports, by travel softball, baseball, even volleyball, basketball, all of them. So as we look at these four fields that we have at the sports complex and the volleyball courts, which are converted tennis courts from back in the 1990s, we converted them over to outdoor volleyball courts. Oh. Now it's, okay, what do we do to enhance and make these as attractive as possible? And so the village, in my opinion, very wisely invested money last fall, really in late October into November, to redo the four ball fields, really from third base to first base. The outfields were pretty much left alone. And what that did was, over time, no matter how much you're taking care of something, you're going to have, with Mother Nature and runoff and things like that, you get low spots. Yeah. To have a company come in who's very good at what they do and to basically, I don't want to say rebuild, but to, for lack of a better word, they are rebuilding these fields from third to first base. And we also made some changes in the layout, some of the materials that were being used, to make them easier to maintain as far as infield mix and things like that. So that work was completed in mid-November of last year, and we actually got a huge break in that the snow that we had sitting on the ground for about 5 weeks, if you remember when we had that cold stretch, really acted like a blanket for a lot of the new sod and actually helped it.
Really?
Yeah, and so it's kind of a cool dynamic in that it stopped that new sod from drying out or freezing out. So it really started to pop this spring, and as I think most people know, we've had a pretty cool and damp spring, so we've had a lot of water. So all of that has made these four fields really noticeably improved from a playing perspective. So that's the number one, and now it's number two is maintaining those and making sure that I have a venue staff, especially with some specialization, guys and ladies that have played ball and know how to take care of ball fields. And so we've built that staff up to be able to make sure that the fields are not only ready for games for Lansing Little League, Lansing Girls Softball. We have some elite Royals, a travel softball team that's using the facility. And all of those usages of the field for our local residents, and then letting people know that it's available for rental. And that really taps into the travel sports that we're talking about. And with our goal of eventually hosting tournaments at that complex, that we would host the entire thing, or being a site where teams can come. Let's just say there's something at Valparaiso University.
Okay.
They need other fields to play earlier in the week to then feed to championship day or whatever. So I call them satellite sites. Teams pull up, they play, they rent the field, and then they leave and they go to wherever the next game on their schedule says.
That's perfect.
So that kind of combination of having a place for our residents and their families to play, and then also being attractive as a rental for teams from out of the area or in Lansing, is kind of the two-pronged approach to getting more traffic into those fields.
Moving over to Fox Point a little bit, let's talk a little bit about the farmers market coming up, because I'm excited to see that. We haven't done our own farmers market. We've had some farmers markets in the area, but we haven't done our own. So what can people look forward to with that starting up in June?
June 9th will be the first one. They'll run through September 22nd, every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So as Fox Point enters now its 8th year and its 7th full season, we're looking at, and we always have been looking at, what else can we do to drive traffic there? And when I say a different type of traffic, it could be the same individuals that come out to concerts, but we have to be careful not to fall into the trap of everything that we have there has a guitar, a drummer and a lead singer. As we know, and we'll talk about, our Fox Point Wednesday series has been fantastic, and it's what we're kind of known for. The goal now, and Michelle Henderson, our village events planner, is leading this push, is to have another day of the week where we become known for a regular series, in this case a farmer's market, and that the offerings are of quality. It's a lot of quality food. I always say this word, artisan or artisan, whatever.
Artisan. I think artisan is the right one.
Shame on me for not knowing. Artisan. We're not just looking to have a whole bunch of local businesses that are there promoting whatever it may be. The idea is that people are coming there, and we're looking at people that maybe can't come at night, or people that are especially into farmers markets. And in addition to the vendors that will be in and around the Fox Point kind of perimeter, if you will, interior perimeter, will be family yoga going on the stage, and people will be able to bring their mats and be on the lawn. Every other week we will have an acoustic performer, light music that's meant to complement the farmers market that's going on, and people will be able to purchase coffees and other foods from food trucks, sit in our pavilion, and enjoy what we believe is a beautiful venue. Hopefully we get better weather than last year. We had a lot of rain in 2026 or 2025, but we're hoping for better weather. I think one thing we've heard from the community is, what about some daytime hours? And so this is an event that's meant to draw maybe some people that have never been there before. And Michelle's working very hard. We're up to about 30 vendors. They're either weekly vendors, half season, or full season vendors that will be there regularly, because I'm learning about them as well. It's not an area of specialty for me that, you don't just do one farmer's market. It's got to be something that's consistent and regular. A, for the vendors to make it worth their while, and then B, for people to get into that pattern and rhythm, because some people do their shopping, at these for certain food products.
Many people do.
And then to be able to pick up some, light souvenirs or other items for themselves. I think it's a really neat way to expose a different demographic to Fox Point. And then while you're at the farmers markets, the video wall is going to be talking a lot about Wednesday concerts. When you're at Wednesday concerts, the video wall is going to be talking about farmers markets. So you cross promote, and that our goal is that Tuesdays and Wednesdays become what we're really known for. Takes a while to get it branded. We've done it with Wednesdays. The goal is to do that with our farmers markets as well. And then the weekends are always going to be different every year, depending on what is going on and what's available.
I love the pairing that you mentioned right there. The Tuesday, Wednesdays. Tuesday come during the day for the farmers market. Wednesday come to our concerts. It's perfect. It's a lovely little like. I'm excited to see what it's going to bring the farmers market, because the farmers market idea is, it works very well for Fox Point.
Yeah, we've had people say it to us. We've talked about it. What I've learned, as I said earlier, is it's not a one-off, and a series. And our hope and our goal with our marketing, and that includes you guys being fantastic as you are, and the other things that we do, that the word of mouth starts to spread. That's the best advertising in the world, and it doesn't cost a dime. And so to get people to say, you got to go to that farmers market at Fox Point. It is very competitive. There are a lot of venues. We have a lot of towns in this area, both sides of the border, that are putting up band shells and putting up and having things. So where do you find your lane, your niche, where you're known for, to be able to say, no, I go there on Tuesdays or I go there on Wednesdays? That, if we can get that, we feel that we have it with Wednesdays. If we can partner that with Tuesdays, and then our weekends, again, those will always be different, because it's very competitive on the weekend. There's a lot going on. And we got to respect that and know that on both sides of the border, and then try and find programming there that is unique and draws people, maybe not to the degree that our Wednesdays do, because there's so many other offerings, but they're still coming.
Out of everything you just said right now, which is excellent, I think the one thing I took away is LNN does all the great promotions for us.
There's no doubt. We are incredibly lucky to have a group internally within our own village that can help us promote not only the venues, but the village itself. We're very fortunate.
We thank you for that. Thank you. But it does sound like an excellent event. I'm so excited to see it. We'll be out there getting footage. And another Fox Point event coming up. This one's very, very big. Very big one that we can talk about that's coming up soon is the 250th anniversary of this nation. And we have some big plans between two of your venues. Is that correct?
That is true. So we didn't realize until we started to sit down in the planning really last year off season how many anniversaries this year there are that fall on those round numbers. So as you mentioned, the country having its 250th birthday. You have our Ford Hangar, which is celebrating its 100th anniversary. You have the 50th anniversary of the village owning the Lansing Airport.
Yep.
And on a completely different theme, but something we need to remember, it's the 25th anniversary of 9/11. So for all of those things to fall in one calendar year and either be 25 or 50 on that round or, milestone kind of a number, I think it's important, how do we find programming and how do we find events that work? So to your point about America 250, we're going to have a two-pronged day, and the first part of it is at Fox Point from noon to 4 o'clock, Great American Cookout, and there will be plenty of things for people to do there, including games that they can play with some prizes. There will be a DJ that's playing. It's meant for people to come in and out during the day and spend some time at Fox Point and celebrate the country. So then after we have that particular afternoon, and at 4 o'clock when it closes, then the second part, which is the first time that Lansing's done this, the Village of Lansing has done this in a long time, is a fireworks celebration. And that will be shot off at Lansing's airport, but the main viewing area will be at Bethel Church across the street, just across Glenwood Lansing Road. And that is strictly for Lansing residents. There'll be very soon, I'm not sure when this is airing, but very soon there will be an online registration, and that Lansing residents will be able to park in Bethel Church. They have to have a valid vehicle sticker. That's one of the requirements. And they will get a QR code to be able to park their car there. And there's an open field that's very large just to the west of Wentworth and Glenwood Lansing Road, and that field will be the viewing area. And speakers will be set up. All the music will be coordinated to the fireworks show, which includes drones and it includes fireworks.
Now we go from kind of this event, this big event about our nation, and we have the fireworks over at the airport, so big bombastic, to something that's probably, I would say, a little more intimate, but also big, is the 100th anniversary of the Ford Hangar. People probably don't realize it. It's been 100 years since the Ford Hangar has been constructed at our airport. We have the only one left in the country, and that's a pretty big deal. So could you talk a little bit about how we're planning for that and what we're doing for that?
The Ford Hangar, as I've said many times, is the number one building that we get asked about by people in and even outside the community. Can I have my blank at the Ford Hangar?
Weddings.
We just had a
Business
prom
stuff.
send-off a week
Prom.
ago.
Okay.
Young man helicoptered in, and his family was all there, and threw a prom send-off. I said, that didn't happen for my prom, I know that, but good for him, and the family wanted to do that. So the fact that it is, as Michelle Henderson, our events planner, says, a blank canvas, allows people to be creative. So now to celebrate what the hangar has been and also what we want it to be, September 18th and 19th will be the two different events, both kind of linked to the anniversary. On Friday the 18th will be a gala that will be kind of high-end and is meant to raise awareness for the fact that we are looking to convert this building into a full-time destination venue. Not one that only can be certain times depending on the weather. And there's obviously a price tag on that. So to get real corporate sponsorship, to get the Ford, hopefully family themselves, to make our area politicians aware of the significance of this particular structure and where it's at, that is the goal of the 18th. And that many of the things on the inside of the hangar that night will be meant to commemorate the 100th year, and then there'll also be an unveiling of some of the plans of what the village sees the hangar being as it moves forward, in the future. It will, be a dinner, and the public is certainly invited to that. The ticket price will be certainly a little more. It's not free, and so that information will be coming out very soon as to anyone that might be interested in attending that event. We turn around on Saturday and flip it into the event that we're calling, basically the Hangar Expo and Aviation Showcase. That's free and open to the public. A lot of the same things that people can see on Friday night, as far as commemorative things, or could be video that I know you guys are working on, and other things, being able to see the history of the hangar as much as we have, and being able to celebrate the hangar as well, seeing the same drawings for what we want it to be. I think the biggest thing is that the Ford Hangar will always have a connection to the Lansing Airport, obviously, but that the future of the Ford Hangar and the vision for it is to be a venue that just happens to be at an airport, and then has that great name. We will have things like the Tri-Motor. We'll actually have a Tri-Motor plane that will be on hand doing flights that weekend that people can sign up for, and they have to pay for. I want to be honest, that's not being provided by the village. But these things and many other visible artifacts from the 1920s will be available for the public to see. What did Lansing look like in 1920 or 1926? That's the theme, if you will. And then the hangar itself is being celebrated, and then it's also, this is where we see it going. And then on that Saturday, there'll be food trucks available and families can come in. They also can be able to go out onto the tarmac of the airport safely, and there will be like stunt planes that'll be performing. There will be parachutists that will be coming down, and these will be performances. Again, a smaller version of what an air show might be like, but something that's meant to celebrate the hangar and the fact that we have an airport that we want people to know is out there and want to continue promoting. So that two-pronged day, both Friday night and then Saturday, will be the celebration of the hangar and also an introduction of what we think is to come.
Do you have any events from the past few years that you would consider to be big successes? What's the one maybe big success that you've had that you could think of?
One event,
or it could be multiple.
That one's hard. I think when you talk successes, if you're talking about Fox Point in particular, or any of them?
Any of them, really.
Because I think the answer is different depending on the venue. I think we'll just start on the south end. So with the hangar, I think the first wedding that we had there, and learning that the bride and groom were so cooperative, they had a vision for what they wanted it to be. They had met at the airport. There was a lot of connections that they had, and so to see them put that in, and this is going to sound like I'm making it up, but it is the honest to goodness truth. They had their ceremony smack dab in the center of the Ford Hangar at about 4:30 or 4:40 in the afternoon. And the windows, or most people know the windows are a big feature of the hangar. And the way, whoever you believe in, they shined light onto them standing in the center exchanging their vows. I would love to be able to say that we did that intentionally. but that would be a lie. And I was standing off on the side watching them exchange vows, and the sun is coming through the window like a spotlight shining on them. And that's a true story. And I was like, that's a moment that I will never forget, because it was the first wedding there, and they were the first ones getting married. And then to see it myself, and unfortunately I don't have a picture of it, but I got a mental picture. I've never forgotten that moment in the hangar. And then the weddings after that, subsequently, to see how families create what they want it to be. I think that's the unique thing about the hangar right now, is that people, if they have an imagination, they can turn that 13,000 square feet into something. If you move to Fox Point, that's a hard one, because we've had so many good events. Yeah. I think that the two that, and they're completely opposite. We've had our concert series, and I'm very proud of that. That's obviously got different talent. But I think seeing the Northwest Indiana Symphony come in, we're the only Illinois site that they play with their summer concert series.
That's true.
And the weather for them, whatever potion they have, I wish they would share it, because they've been able to nail like 79 degrees, sunset, and to hear the place completely quiet, listening to that form of music, that genre, is one thing that I've noticed, and been at all of them, and I'm like, wow, what a really cool thing for our village and our venue to promote it. And on the flip side, we've going into our, I think, 4th year now of Mexico in El Corazon, which is later in the season, a celebration of Hispanic, music and dance. And to see that has provided us with our largest crowds we've ever had. We've had close to 2,500 people for the 3 years that we've done it. And that event, which used to be held indoors in Lansing, when they came to us out of necessity, there was a construction situation at one of their other sites, and we were able to get them on, and now that's a regular thing. I think that's important, that we are understanding that there's a civic responsibility for these venues, and when we can find events that celebrate multicultural, any multicultural celebration is good, or in this case, one that honors a particular group that has a rich history and everything else, and to see that play out, and to see the pride of those people. The way I may know a song from my favorite group, they're knowing those songs and singing those songs, and for me to see that joy kind of through guests that are there maybe for the first time, is those are two things that kind of pop from Fox Point. There's a lot, but those are two over the last couple of years that have really come to mind. And then at the sports complex, it is, as cheesy as this sounds, it's seeing, 4-year-old, 5-year-old T-ballers. And the other day I watched a ball get hit and 9 players chased it. All 9 players chased the same ball. And it's like, well, we can't throw it to first if they're all over there. No. So again, different experiences at each venue, all collectively helping Lansing be, relevant. And I think that's the biggest thing as we battle, this side of the border, that side of the border, taxes, all those things that we hear about. We can stay relevant because we've got good people and we've got good spaces.
That's true. We have great people. We have great spaces. And I just want to ask you personally, do you have any event this year that you're most looking forward to?
I actually do. So for the first time, I am a huge fan of the band Chicago. They are my favorite band of all time. And there is one of the Wednesday night, June 24th, is the Chicago Experience. And that is a Chicago tribute band. And so I am a grandfather now, just became a grandfather for the first time, a grandparent 2 months ago. I will introduce that band. I will put my Cubs floppy hat on, and I will have my grandson and my family, and we will be enjoying that concert. And so that's one that I'm looking forward to this year. We haven't had this particular cover band, and I'm looking forward. They got great reviews. And so that's one that selfishly, I'm going to be enjoying the music that night, and the rest of my staff can take care of the logistics.
I can see why you're so excited for that evening.
And ironically, it falls in a week that is super busy for us, because at the end of that week is the America 250, and we also have a Friday night concert the night before America 250, which is a Taylor Swift tribute, and it's kind of a girls' night out. There's 2 bands on our Friday night concert that are both geared for a female audience. So we'll have our hands full that week, but I'm going to enjoy that 90-minute set, that's for sure.
Calm before the storm.
Exactly.
Ken, I'm sure we could talk forever, but I am just so glad we got you on the show. I'm glad we were able to sit down and be able to go over this. We look forward to having you back, and just want to say thank you again for being here today.
Again, sincere thanks to what LNN does. I know it sounds like we're self-promoting, but in a way we are, and that what you guys do for the town, for the village, and then for us at the venues is second to none. So it's my pleasure to be here.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time on Inside Lansing.